Hello, my name is Ava Patterson, and I have chosen to do the final project of Preventing Child Abuse and Neglect on the subject of teens transitioning out of foster care and their risks for becoming homeless. The problem that I decided to focus on throughout this semester is youth who age out of the foster care system are at risk of homelessness. While some of these youth may have been in foster care for a long time, others may have just been removed from their families more recently. Regardless of how and when they entered the foster care system, they are all facing the reality of turning 18 and being responsible for themselves. While turning 18 is typically something that is highly anticipated and exciting for most youth in the United States, youth in foster care may be dealing with different circumstances, such as lacking a support system, moving away from their old school and friends, dealing with trauma, lacking the proper therapy, and having a general lack of certainty about their future. This can cause these youth to view this milestone as highly stressful. According to Patrick J. Fowler et al., 2017, the abrupt disruption of services at age 18 combined with unreliable family connections elevate the risk for housing problems among aged-out emerging adults. This, in addition to potential substance abuse, unemployment, and mental health problems, make it very difficult for these young adults to start their lives in a stable way. Fowler et al. Gives a 2015 statistic from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services that 20,000 youth age out of foster care each year in the United States. One day, their needs are being met, and then the moment they age out, they have no safety net. Suddenly, it is up to them to feed, clothe, house, and educate themselves. The problem that I identified was risks of homelessness and youth aging out of the foster care system. Now, I will identify the two solutions I found to this problem. I found two major solutions to this problem. The first has to do with the quality and number of social networks that the youth has. The second has to do with the reunification of the youth and their family. Let's first take a look at social networks. According to Yoshioka, Maxwell, and Rice 2020, two different outcomes can occur depending on a foster youth's type of social network. Negative networks, such as interruptions in therapeutic services, a lack of friends, or friends who are bad influences, can lead to risky behavior and therefore homelessness. Alternatively, positive social networks can make all the difference. According to Best and Blakesley, 2020, the more positive and supportive relationships that a youth has, the more likely they will be successful after aging out of foster care. In fact, just one supportive adult can make a positive difference. For instance, a teacher who sees their potential and inspires them to further their education, a coach who works with them and encourages them to play their hardest, a school counselor who supports them and helps them see potential in their future, or a foster parent who understands them and has their best interests in mind. Each of these people are in a position to make a real difference in the futures of youth preparing to leave the foster care system. While positive social networks are beneficial, the best solution to preventing homelessness for these young adults, according to Fowler et al. 2017, is reunification with their families. Since this is such an important factor in preventing homelessness for these young adults, a great deal of focus should be placed on the steps needed to make reunification possible. Therefore, measures should be taken that focus on first, foster parents making a goal of being supportive of and good role models for the foster youth and their biological families, which will create a more positive environment for family visits. Second, the foster care system should make sure that the foster youth, as well as their families, have access to necessary therapies that will help to create a solid family foundation. These therapies could include individual sessions, family sessions, substance abuse therapy, anger management, and life coaching. Finally, the foster care system should realize the importance of assisting these youth that are so close to aging out because their futures depend on it. This reunification is important because it recreates the support needed during the young adult years, such as providing shelter, financial help, and emotional support. Actually becoming fully independent is difficult for the typical young adult, so it is easy to understand how difficult it could be for a young adult who is just exiting the foster care system and has little to no support. When family reunification is successful, these young adults regain their safety net that can help them get started on creating a life of their own. Their families can provide a place to stay, since there are many times that college-age adults end up returning home for a time during school breaks or because of financial issues. Their families can be a source for money to help young adults with major expenses that they are not able to handle on their own, since young adults are often underemployed. Their families can also provide emotional support and guidance for all of the life decisions that young adults have to make. Also, just having someone that listens and cares can be a great comfort. In conclusion, we have discussed youth aging out of the foster care system and the risk of becoming homeless, as well as 2 solutions to this problem. While positive relationships can reduce this risk, the #1 thing that has been found to prevent homelessness for the young adults is family reunification prior to aging out of the foster care system.